everyone, to this week's Women's Health Tech Wednesday. I will be your host today for the event. My name's Amy West, and I lead our advisory services here at HIT Lab, and I'm also the chair of the Women's Health Tech Initiative. And with that, I'd like to turn our attention now to our Women's Health Tech Wednesday guest, Nicoletta Nerangis, who is the executive director and founder of Run for Fun. And Nicoletta, I'm thrilled to be here with you today. Welcome. And why don't you give a little bit more detailed background, because you can do a far better job than I can, and talk a little bit about Run for Fun as well.
Thank you so much, Amy, for the opportunity to be here today. It's really, really exciting. Run for Fun, I founded Run for Fun in 2014, inspired by my son, Panayoti. It goes back earlier from there as running for myself as a marathoner, helping my own mental health. And then with my son coming along, really struggling with anxiety around team sports and competition. And at 7, but loved to play and loved to run. And when he was 7 years old, we were on a run and stretching, and I encouraged him to join a running program. But he said, "No, Mama, but if you do it, I'll join." I was just working as a social worker in the hospitals, a licensed master social worker, and educator, and said, "Well, that's a it's a great idea," and took him and his friends up to the park, and it just grew. It just continued to grow. The need was really incredible for young people to be active and outside, and to see just many challenges come up, and we started to grow throughout the city and serve about 4 boroughs of New York today.
Excellent. And I couldn't agree more with the value and benefits of running. As on a personal note, on my side, I'm a big fan of running, and it really got me through COVID for the most part. Because I was actually able to get outside and run on roads that I never would have run on before, because there were no cars at the time. But it really helped with all the anxiety and the fear that I think a lot of us were dealing with at the time. So I'm a big proponent of that, and congrats on such a great initiative. And I'm really excited to talk to you a little bit more about the value and benefits of these types of programs. So, can you share a little bit what first inspired you to connect technology with mental health and wellness in your work?
Yes, yes. So over the years, I mean, there's just many, many stories of impact, whether it's at our school in Queens, in Jamaica, Queens. We had a girls program start with about 12 girls over 8 weeks. We had 2 girls come in that were sisters and unhoused, and one was not speaking in school, was nonverbal, only speaking to her sister. And we connected with the guidance counselors and the principal every week and checked in and found what would support her the most going through these challenges. And throughout the weeks, we have themes for the week of kindness and inclusiveness and fun and team spirit that she started to open up, and helping to set up games. And by the end of the session, she was talking in school to other kids and in the classroom. And this impact is just incredible, with stories just like hers, many, many thousands of stories that we've seen. And when I started 2 years ago, I spoke at the Stavros Niarchos conference in Athens, Greece, and the theme was mental health. And I spoke on a panel that was the impact of gun violence on children, young people in the United States. And I had been invited to speak about the power of physical activity on healing, and our trauma-informed, evidence-based curriculum that it created. And out of that, 2 years ago, with seeing the really people and experts from all over the world come and speak on mental health and the global crisis that we're in, really inspired me, along with my son, who's now 23, that said, along with that, seeing the global crisis, we really need to spread the impact out more. Can we spread it across the globe? And so that, thinking about that, really started developing the idea, and with my son and young people on an app, creating an app to really spread the impact further, to support young people through physical activity, to the mental health curriculum, creating that, as well as a model that we do train the trainer throughout the city, that we've trained educators, and now looking to expand that reach to Kentucky, with the University of Kentucky, to bring our program there with training the trainer, and having the app have capabilities where, for adults that are training, that are delivering our curriculum to young people, to be able to have a support for them to deliver the curriculum, and whether that has an element for the adults that's AI generated. We'll look at that, but really in the early stage, and creating a team of our young people to design, to really be at the forefront of that, because they're living it.
Absolutely. And again, like I couldn't agree more with your philosophy and your approach because again, I'm a big advocate of running, but also all sports. I grew up playing sports. And you mentioned something in, earlier about team spirit. And that building that team spirit idea with the little girl who wouldn't talk to others. Can you expand a little bit more on how your background in education and the youth sports area and team spirit influenced your approach to mental health advocacy?
Yeah, I mean, when just talking about this really brings up a lot of emotions. I think just in myself as a young girl, and playing all sports really, and I had to be outside at all the time playing sports, whether it was sports or arts. I was out of the house, and feeling, I think through those young age and teen years of struggles of trying to find your place, um, where you can have a voice, where you're accepted for who you are. And seeing with Run for Fun was such a hugely important thing to me, to have a space that's safe, that's inclusive, where kids can come and feel like, if they're a gamer, or if they love books, or they love to draw, maybe they don't really uh, find movement as something that's their first choice, but through play, because we do so many running play-based games through our sessions. They discover a love and a joy for movement, and for running. So we start in a circle, an inclusive circle, and like for team spirit, really, we go around and say our names. And when we first start getting to know you theme, it's like, it's what's your favorite food, or really bringing the kids together in an inclusive way. And through my experience as a teacher, I taught music. I was a crisis counselor in the New York City schools, and through sport, playing many sports, but also, now being a coach for all these years through running and other sports, is finding a space, creating a space that's inclusive, that's equitable, that's open to all young people. To so many young people come, and they're nervous. They think that run for fun, it means that they have to run the fastest, or and or they won't be accepted. And that's the space that we've created, is not that. It's a space where they find a love and a joy of play and running and creating friendships, and that's the team spirit, is being there for one another and supporting each other. um, and the friendships have grown. I mean, we had, from our early years, our founding kids, and now as well, um, that they come back as coaches, and they're friends through now, from 7 years old, been involved with Run for Fun from 7 all the way until their 20s now, coming back and involved with helping with curriculum development and working with the youth. And but through through the experience I've had, there's been gaps. It's just gaps that I've seen so much, that these spaces are so needed for young people today.
Agree, and I think it becomes too easy to unfund these areas as well, which is why it's important to raise the gap that's there so that we can make sure that we're addressing some of these big issues. And I think, as you shared, like, some of the key things are inclusivity, equity, feeling in a safe environment. Some of these kids don't live in a safe environment, but if you can create that space for them, it gives them more confidence, and then they can also create those friendships that really are going to help them as they, grow up and move throughout life. So I think that's incredibly important. But we talk about gaps, making sure that these younger generations, these kids, are set up for the best, the mental health space possible. From your perspective and what you've seen in your experience, this is probably kind of a big question, but what are some of the biggest mental health challenges you see young people facing today? And how can something like Run for Fun and the technology help address and, um, you know, remove the problem, and then again, raise awareness of the gap so that we continue to fund these types of programs?
Yes. Yeah, for one thing, there's a lot of isolation. I know, I mean, going really from the pandemic, with 2 years of loss, and through that we pivoted on virtually with 10 sessions a week, with the kids that they weren't coming out of the house, and like you had said, they live in communities that and then had increases of gun violence, and then now coming out of that, we've seen, I mean, it's just the impact has been tremendous, and many young people that I have also seen have um, that even are in high school or graduating from high school that are struggling with anxiety, and social anxiety, and are isolated, not coming out of the house, not really going on to college, or getting that first job, and and then you have my young woman Leah, who's such a leader. I mean, she started with us in middle school, and really barely spoke, and would communicate now that she had struggled with body image and confidence. And now she's a senior in high school, and a Posse Award, semi-finalist, and wrestling competitively in her school, and still participating with Run for Fun. And she's going to be part of the development of the app, and she's really an advisor. I mean, I'm asking her, what are your biggest challenges? And she says to me, well, I don't know how to turn off, my phone. I get notifications at all hours, and I don't know how to do that. And then she said, and I feel like so many young people, need connection. They need Run for Fun. They need a program like Run for Fun where they can get outside, where they can even have these programs in school where they can play, where they can have adults that are caring and nurturing. Mentoring them. And she also spoke about, well, instead of being, having AI, talking to AI, but being really out with other young people and forming relationships. And so I feel like things really are moving sort of at a fast pace, for young people, at the same time that the programs like ours are not getting funding. There's just not enough funding, and the need is just tremendous. We have a school in Brownsville, Brooklyn, that we've been in on and off for 10 years. A parent coordinator called me one day and said, my kids are begging to run, and I found you on Google. I did a search,
Mm.
and I said, well, I'll find the money. I'll do. So I did a GoFundMe really to raise the funds 10 years ago, and then we received a Nike Community Impact Grant, and then now some more funding from like Beyond Sport mental health grant. But I called her this summer and I said, okay, it looks like we have the funding to come back, this fall, and then we'll take it from there. But we're just getting calls all the time. Just and these schools and these communities, they don't have the funding. and they're losing the funding. Our Queen School just lost a lot of funding from, and I mean, if we had the funding, we'd go in everywhere, in it, there's just
Yeah.
the need, and we just want to be there for the kids and the young people. They need that physical activity, that outlet, and that inclusive, safe space um, that we create, and that we train our trainers in, trauma informed, really, to be there, since so many of them have gone through trauma.
Yeah. Well, and, from, the stories you've shared, you help these young people go from, you know, um, inside themselves to leaders. This is tremendous. This is tremendous. This is life-changing. And, so congratulations on that. I know but we need to get, need to encourage more funding around these areas, because they are so important, because this is the future of our society. Can you talk a little bit more about the relationship between health and exercise, and how it, can positively affect a child's mental health in a specific geographic area, such as New York?
Yes, yes. So, I mean, there's just so many stories to share, but I would say that, even like a school like PS 182 in Queens, is a really great example. I mean, we serve over 600 children, and now, working to get back, launch our program this fall with a principal again. But seeing, and also having 300 kids. There's really migrant families that are only speaking Spanish, so placing a Spanish speaking coach there with the kids. But we've to see the transformation in kids, in how they're feeling about themselves, how they're viewing themselves through coming to us. Not really feeling like they want to participate, and of feeling like they don't quite fit in, to then feeling like, we create every week with a theme, like the team spirit and the inclusion, and the kind of sharing. So we have questions of the day that they can share. When has someone been kind to you, or you have been kind to someone else? And then over the weeks, also, we're building that team spirit. We're cheering for one another, where you see the kids go from really seeing them as feeling isolated, or it feeling like not quite like they fit in, to then over the weeks sharing and giving them voice and having them lead games. That's an incredible thing, is having it youth led, having the children take the lead, having them explain the games, having them bring games, go home and research games. And kids have brought active games, and in very long
Yeah.
explanations that are just amazing. But through that, you see, their mental health really transform, and becoming, like you said, becoming leaders, just holding themselves higher in themselves in the day, feeling more confident. Also having the principal communicate that the academics, they're they're raising their hand more in the classroom, they're taking part, they're and also having that support with us, collaborating with the schools, is really powerful.
It's amazing. I mean, it really is such an amazing story about, again, helping. It's not just about supporting mental health. It's, again, creating this leadership pathway for a lot of these kids that might not otherwise have had that. So it's really amazing. And, you're talking about, collaborations with with schools and things like that. Obviously, in life in general, we can't do it alone, especially when you're in the nonprofit space. You need funding, you need resources, you need collaborations, you need partnerships. Can you talk a little bit about how can partnerships between nonprofits and tech companies accelerate progress in these youth mental health programs, or um, access to the technology.
Yes, I was thinking about this and actually thought started to kind of develop an event. I was thinking around bringing tech companies and or with youth together at say like the Microsoft space and having an event where they're learning. It's a co-learning and
Hmm.
also co-designing. Really like having a day where they're all working together to develop technology, maybe apps and different kinds of uh, ways to bring the physical activity, the mental health through the tech, but having them work together for a day and having activities where they're just really creating ideas together, and then also I think too with the leadership development that we're really work together with the young people on is to be able to have mentors together with the tech companies. But I really think about this collaboration and having the youth voice a huge part of it, and to have a day where it can be like brainstorming day where we're just getting boards and writing things and involved active games as well. So it's something I'd been thinking about ahead of coming on to meet you today.
Well, I think it's brilliant because I think that, that example of co-creation speaks to not only this type of program, but anything in the digital health space. You need to make sure that when you're at your starting point, you're including the intended end user as a part of the development because you don't want to be. There's this great quote from Peter Diamandis, who's founder of Singularity University, which is like a futurist group, and he said, "Become enamored of the problem, not the solution." And when you become enamored of the problem, you're talking to the people who are living it and dealing with it, and then you solve in a collective way. And I think that is so critically important. And especially as technology is changing so fast, these younger generations they're very different from, our generation. So you need to bring those things together to make sure that as you're building for a solution that's actually going to solve for their problems or be the right thing for them. So I think that example is perfect here, but also for anybody else in the digital health space, it's definitely the way you want to start. Um, so I think that's brilliant. And can you also talk a little bit about it's kind of a technical question, but you know, as a nonprofit, what types of challenges do you see when you're integrating new technologies into mental health and wellness programs for these in the nonprofit space?
Yes, well, since we do so much work with the schools and communities and into being a nonprofit, really working on the ground, I would say that it's the time, the staffing, the training, of course, funding, but it's to make these things make them happen. And really, I'm thinking now too about Kentucky and really looking at that as being something that can be a pilot in the fall of 2026, which it takes the time to really, but then also the collaborator to work with, and then now we're looking at okay, now of course we need to have the funding to put that into place. Um, so there are a lot of pieces to put together when you're implementing that. But I mean, we always come back to funding, but that's a it's a huge piece.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why it's really nice to talk to someone like you because we don't get to talk to a lot of nonprofit leaders. We talk to a lot of startups, in the not it the in the I guess sort of the for-profit world. So it's really important to have this perspective because it's critically important as well. So thank you for sharing. And I know we only have a couple minutes left, and so I just wanted to ask you kind of a general question, again, based on your experience, and what advice would you give to other nonprofit leaders or just innovators in the digital health space who want to harness technology to strengthen the mental health and wellness area of their local communities. Do you have any advice for them?
Well, I think that, in sort of my development of this idea, the very, very early stage idea of the app and the mental health app to really reach across, the expansion of reaching more young people, is to looking at, you know, involving the youth and co-design, but really having them be the out front leaders, to really think about kind of what really the goals of say this, looking at this app, but really the goals that I'm trying to reach, and not to think about, okay, well, I'm going to have it for adults as well, but no, let's start in a place where it's small, so to speak, where you can really make it happen in a real way. And
Yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh
I
yes,
think, yeah, go, keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, 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 it's okay. Yes, yes. So, so as you're asking that question, I'm thinking this is exactly where we are right now, and thinking about, like we were saying with the tech and nonprofits, it's really looking to the community, their need, the principals' voices, the teachers, the parent coordinators, the families, the kids at the forefront. The young people are at the front. They're like our leaders. Like I'll be in a line basically, and Leah will be in front, Panayoti will be in front, and I'll be, holding hands right behind them, or together, but really them in the front. And so it's yeah, it's really a privilege to do this work, and I'm very, very happy to be joining you today, Amy.
Well, it's been a wonderful conversation. You're so impressive, your background, your experience, and the work that you're doing with something that, again, mental health and wellness is critically important, and it's doing, Run for Fun is doing a lot to support that, but it's shaping our future leaders, our future society. We need strong leaders to, to keep us going. So, what you're doing is a foundation for all of that. So thank you. And this is a gap. Like, this should not be a gap area. So we need to, raise a flag and get funding for these types of programs. I have a million more questions I would love to ask you, but we don't have enough time today. So I'm hoping that we might be able to find another time. I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about the impact of social media and, that influence as well. There's a whole area that we could talk about, but really appreciate everything you've done, Nicoletta. Thank you for sharing. We're definitely going to have you back. Thank you again, Nicoletta. And
Thank you.
thank you to all of our sponsors that you see here. Again, funding is necessary and needed, and we want to appreciate all of them. Best wishes moving forward, Nicoletta, and hope to see you again very soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Amy. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.